think really building strong partnerships is really important. So you need to be a very, I would say, people person. I think it's quite important to have, enough cash in the bank to just be ready to not have any.
We are in a business, doing a lot of events, meeting a lot of cool people, leaders. So people always have the expectation you are doing good. But honestly, I think, we always have to solve problems, like everyday problems and issues.
The most difficult moment is when you realize that what's working is not working anymore. So you have to keep on trying, innovate. And I think that was the hardest because you feel that you're going back to zero each time.
To anyone who wants to start a business, is think about the P&L. And basically is you have to prepare maybe a year to 2 years saving that is able to help you to sustain your life even without customer. Yeah, so if you have that budget on hand, I think with a good product and service, and you can consider starting.
You just have to be ready for change and really to embrace change.
It's really important to keep learning every day because with the creative mind, you can solve the new problem.
The key to success in business is really, I would say, to stay humble. I'm a big believer that you can't really achieve anything on your own, that you need to find people that would believe in your dream, that would have the drive to actually grow it with you.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 26 of Change is Possible podcast. My name is Anna Filipova, I'm the creator and host of this podcast. Today I don't have one, I have two guests. And these guests are Anna Wong and Ines Gafsi. 8 years ago, Anna and Ines decided to take a career change. They left their traditional careers and they started Female Entrepreneurs Worldwide. Now, this is one of the largest network in Asia with more than 20,000 members of female founders where they connect, where they find clients, when they learn how to scale their businesses. And not only that, Anna and Ines 2 years ago created the FEW Accelerator, where they focus on women-founded companies in the ESG space, and they find cash investments for them and connect them with a network of investors. So join me in going together with them through their journey, learning from their mistakes, and finding out what helped them in their career pivot. And while you're watching, if you like our podcast, please subscribe and leave us a comment so we can make this podcast even better. Thank you and see you in a second. Hi, Anna and Ines. I'm so happy to have you on my podcast. How are you today?
Thank you, Anna.
I'm good. Thanks, Annie, for having us.
Great. Let's start with the first things first. And can you tell us something about what did you study, why did you study what you studied, and what was your first job? Let's start from there.
I'm always interested in business. So I picked business and journalism because, I love news. When in college, I always want to be, maybe in the future, being a host or TV host, but I didn't get a chance to do it. So I ended up being a PR in public relations. So my first internship was in a local family business in Hong Kong. I was doing a lot of PR engagement and coordination for the chairman. And that opened my eyes about what is public relations, because the family in the chairman needs to do a lot of engagement with the local leaders, and from event meetings to communications. So that let me know, it kind of helped me to understand about lobbying and strategic communications. So later I moved to an international agency because I think it's good to have the local and international understanding as well. So that again was in the PR communications. I was in the healthcare team though. PR is it's pretty big, right? So I was more in the healthcare industry when I was in the international agency. And that one was quite really good training because medical PR is quite rare in the market. Normally, people thought like being a PR, you would do a lot of event, but I was more in the lobbying and engagement for the pharmacies and doctors.
So let's hear from Ines.
I studied business management and marketing with a focus on international business. I began my career in creative industries, including fashion and F&B, where I developed digital marketing skills, setting up many social media accounts for various brands. However, I soon realized that this wasn't fulfilling my desire to make a positive impact in the world. That's why I teamed up with Anna, who shared my drive and ambition, and we started FEW.
How did you two meet? And how did the idea of female entrepreneurs worldwide came about? Tell us a little bit more of how did you start?
So I met Ines in tactics in Hong Kong. And, my friend was a sponsor for the tactics and Ines was one of the committee members in the TAT. She always loved doing, events, and she was really active there. And we met and we talked about women empowerment. And at that time, almost 9 to 10 years ago, I guess, and women empowerment was still quite new in Asia. So I mentioned to her that I was in UK. I met a group of ladies and they are, doing events for women. And I think it's quite important to empower women here in Asia. And I mentioned to a couple of girls, girlfriends in Hong Kong, but no one responded to me. But Ines was, she's really good. And she talked to me, hey, Anna, maybe we should continue the conversation and start something here. So she's really good and in, making the things happen. And this is how we later, turn our conversation into a plan.
Yeah, well, what Anna said was actually the truth. So we met through a TEDx event where I was involved more and more in this community because there's a lot of innovators, entrepreneurs, and I was obviously deeply interested in learning from them. And when I met with Anna, it was really interesting how we straight up clicked and, just very naturally started working on FEW. It's even hard for me to remember the exact step we took, but literally, I would say almost 3 months later, we were already having our website, our logo, and we were both super excited and kickstarting the project. So we didn't really knew how it would grow and that it would become what it is today. But we were just driven by the same ambition, I would say. And that's why everything came quite naturally.
And what were these essential qualities that you needed to create the network?
I would say we are a people business, right? The first quality definitely you need to be love people, genuinely interested in people. So I do, really. I'm always interested in people's story, their past, why they are making such a decision and how that leading to the later part of their life. And this is why I picked journalism as in my study. Right? So first, definitely you need to love people, and second is I would say we are a network for business, and definitely you need to. Is able to source resources for our members, such as it could be clients, investor, or any key player who could be useful for the members in our network. So I would say people person and love business, passion to help others.
I think really building strong partnerships is really important. So you need to be a very, I would say, people person to have the ability to engage with various stakeholders. I think as we grew, also the fact that we were listening carefully about the women in our network to understand, their needs, and it was quite essential to be able to actually design services and products, that would actually support them the best. So I would say, these are for me the two most important skills that you need to have.
How does the financial side work? Because you shared with me you didn't have that much money, but you still started it. So how did you make that happen financially?
So, initially we didn't think it would be a business. It's more like Ines and I had the passion to help women. And later we were surprised that the number of registration increased dramatically to 1,000, 3,000, 5,000. And that was the time we think it's quite important for us to turn it into a proper business or company. And so we start thinking about business model. And at that time, we're still doing self-fund, funding the business ourselves. And second, later, we managed to get some investment from the family and friends. And you might meet some of them, Dinah Cho, Moses Sund, and they have been really supportive in our network and FEW. I think it's quite important to have someone who believes in your vision and who share the same interest to help. Because, I know there's some other story that investors are being not easy, but we are so lucky to have such, good partners and investors who helping us, advising us over the years.
You both had jobs before, and then you left them. So how did you manage? How did you manage financially? It's not an easy task.
For sure. And actually, majority of the time, financial security is the top concern of many women entrepreneurs. We always advise them to be really cautious when starting a business. And personally, I would never have started a business without having a safety net. I think it's quite important to have, enough cash in the bank to just be ready to not have any kind of regular income for a while, because it does take a lot of time to be the first year. Usually when you launch your business, you're not actually making really stable revenue, stable income. So that's why it's quite important to be prepared for it. After that, at the same time, I feel like sometimes the difference I see with startups that have, let's say, funding straight up and the ones that are bootstrapping is that when you're bootstrapping, you are kind of really kicking, right? You're just really trying to make money for the company ASAP because you have no other choice. And sometimes actually having funding straight up is not ideal because it's not pushing you enough to really do everything you can to make the company financially stable. So for us, I would say there's been obviously many challenges because it's been quite a few years, and actually half of our journey has been with, challenges such as the pandemic and protests in Hong Kong. And when we were running basically a very offline driven business. So through doing a lot of events and networking activities, for our members that happen face to face. So obviously when all these crisis happened in the market, it was obviously very challenging, but we had to pivot, and we had to learn how to do our business online. We had to learn new skills to embrace really resilience. And I think having a supportive partner throughout this moment was really key.
I see. And but I guess that, you were lucky with investment, but you definitely had some difficult moments. Can you share a difficult moment and how did you overcome it?
Lots of difficult moments, honestly. Sometimes people only see the good side, glamorous side of you, especially we are in a business doing a lot of events, meeting a lot of cool people, leaders. So people always have the expectation you are doing good. But honestly, I think, we always have to solve problems, everyday problems and issues. So if you ask me, for a company like us, because we are still small scale company, and we don't expect to have a big team, big number of employees like other enterprise. So I think the challenge would be, or always to be, having good talent, staff working for the company. And because we find it hard to compete with the large company, which can pay a really nice compensation package. And so what we can do is usually find really good partners who can play a key role in the company, because sometimes on the groundwork, so we would have someone to execute. But I know a strategy turning into finding key partners who are there already and looking for other opportunities to, not just, having a big job, but at the same time, something they have passion in. So luckily, we try to solve the problem in that way, since we can't find really good, working talent. So we managed to get good partners, like I mentioned to you, Joanna Lee, Amy Holt, and you, Annie, has been really supportive over the years. So this is our solution, finding good partners.
Absolutely. I think the most difficult moment is when you realize that what was working is not working anymore. When you were doing events and you can't do events anymore. So, and it's part of the revenue for your company. Because everything was linked to events. We're a membership-based platform, so members pay because they want to be part of events in the community. So if the membership revenue is not here, the event membership is not here, and obviously the cash sponsors who sponsor the events are not also sponsoring anymore, you really have to think hard, like, okay, what do we do now? And I think this is really, we had some moments where we were just, really just trying new ways. So you have to keep on trying, innovate. And I think that was the hardest because you feel that you're going back to zero each time. And it's not easy. You're just trying to look for some stability that is not happening.
Why don't we speak now about your network, about female entrepreneurs worldwide? Can you tell us about what is it, and how big is it? How many members you have? Who can participate, etc.?
Yeah, so we been in the market for 7 and almost 8 years now. We started as a membership platform, online and offline for members, for women, especially in business. And later, we're turning into a platform for women who want to learn about business. And we start, promoting and selling courses about business online. And that helped us to get into, a bigger market segment. And afterward, 3 to 4 years later, we start attract a lot of big companies who want us to be their consultant or partners to advertise their product to women demographics. So we did a lot of consulting work for companies. So that is the second product line I'm calling. So the first line, the business line or product line we starting is investment. So in the past 2 years, we spend more effort on incubator, accelerator. So every year we select around 10 to 15 companies in our big network. So what we do is we provide mentorship, perplexity, and advice for professional advice, including legal, financing, investor network to those companies for 10 to 15 companies, and we offer cash grant for those companies. The grant is from the government, Invest HK, and some really good partner like Apollo's, one of the listed company in Hong Kong. So starting from last year, our shareholders decided to invest in those companies directly because we think it's really good strategy in the future, not just being a platform of self, but at the same time is picking the really good company. We could grow together with them in our journey, especially we have the network of investor and key leaders who could be the mentor or advisor, and introducing key contact to help their business. So this is why we're evolving our business model into an investment platform ourselves. Yeah.
I see. So what are the key lessons from your journey that you learned and that you think, women have to hear before they start establishing their businesses or deciding to do something different?
I would say definitely first, really important is, I don't want to say that, but it's so true, it's cash is king. So, sometimes like when we are about to start the business and we were too excited and we forgot that doing a business is so, you have to be really realistic about the cost control and revenue growth. So it's not about finding investor. It's not about, dreamed or passionate. First of all, I think we have to go back. It's like doing the P&L management. And let's say, how many product or service you can sell to really sustain your life if you are not getting a paycheck from the company. So this happened, I am a real really adventurous person. Like I quit my job and I just, start my first company. And then I realized actually I keep burning my saving. And I barely think about, okay, there is a thing, P&L. So if you ask me again now, I think first of all, to anyone who wants to start a business is think about the P&L. Basically, is you have to prepare maybe a year to 2 years saving that is able to help you to sustain your life even without customer. Yeah, so if you have that budget on hand, I think with a good product and service, and you can consider starting. Otherwise, it would be really risky. I don't suggest spending your time or effort finding investor in the beginning. Even we were quite lucky, we do get investment from family and friends, but don't count on that. I mean, be more realistic is to work on the P&L.
Yeah, I would say you definitely have to kind of stay ahead of the curve. So in a way, we've obviously, we've seen some competition arising, especially, more and more like women-focused organizations, which is great in a way, because obviously women need support as much as they can. But for us, it was more a question of like, how do we stay innovative and how do we stay relevant? So it's really important to constantly upskill and to really sort of keep pace with the technology and what's happening in the market. So I would say you just have to be ready for change and really to embrace change if you want to really be happy as an entrepreneur.
Okay, that's very valuable. Thank you for that. And at the end of the podcast, can you give the listeners your 3 key takeaways for people who want to change their careers? For people who want to, for instance, the way you did it, you were in the corporate life and you left and you created your own business. So what are these 3 top things you have to know and you have to do?
First, I would say problem-solving skill. And you asked me about the difficult time, right? And just think about starting a business, you have all the problem in your journey. And the problem will get bigger and bigger when your company scale is growing. So just really need to get prepared. Otherwise, you might give up in the middle. And second is creative thinking, because even for me, it's like, honestly, I feel my skill set are getting outdated. It's like what we are doing in the past, and might not be working. So I think it's really important to keep learning every day, because with the creative mind, you can solve the new problems, because there are so many problems happening. Something is you might not be able to expect. So I think being creative is the only way to solve the new problems for tomorrow. The third one, I would say people skill. Maybe especially we're in the people business. So I do think sometimes having good people around you is really important. Like where I'm today, because not because of me, but really, thanks to the good people who just, lift me higher and upward.
And let's now hear from Ines. So what are these 3 key things that people should have in mind when they change their careers the way you did?
I think it's, the key to success in business is really, I would say, to stay humble, to focus on your personal growth, but also on your team. I'm a big believer that you can't really achieve anything on your own, that you need to find people that would believe in your dream, that would have the drive to actually grow it with you. And I think it's super important to listen closely to your potential clients or users or whoever you're targeting, to best fulfill their needs. So I think that's really my takeaways.
Great. Thank you, Anna and Ines, for being my guests. Thank you for this interview, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. Please remember to review, rate and subscribe when you have a chance. You can do that on your favorite podcast platform or go to our site, changeispossible.site. Thank you once again and have a great day.